Okay, welcome to Brunch with Besties podcast. I am Sherry Renee.
And I'm Chanel.
Our mission is to heal and help others as we heal and help ourselves through purpose-driven conversations. Today, we're talking about Michelle Obama's book, Becoming.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you've all been reading and or listening along with us via our free 30-day Audible trial, www.audibletrial.com/BWB. BWB as in Brunch with Besties.
Yep.
But before we get into her book, we're going to start like we always do with a toast.
All right. So for the last week, because we're coming up on it, I'm going to give my toast to the Ugly Sweater Party happening this Saturday, December 22nd at Mr. J's Lounge. If you were there last year, you know it was a great event. It was actually to capacity. So if you want to come this year, make sure you get there on time. Mr. J's is a pretty big spot. So, you know, if we do get to capacity, that'll be amazing. But, you know, come through with your ugly sweaters on. Have a good time with all the Milwaukee Black podcasters.
Okay. And my toast goes to Maria Beekman. It's her birthday today. One of my sisters from church.
Nice.
Yep. She is apparently 40. She really doesn't look 40, but she keeps claiming that she's 40. So if she wants to be 40, then let her be 40.
Claiming it. Well, happy birthday, Maria.
Yes,
that black don't crack.
Maria. Yes.
Nice.
It does not crack.
It don't. It really don't.
Okay. So let's break bread. What's going on?
I am in the last week. So, you know, teachers, educators around the world, rejoice. We are almost to our winter break. So it's really, really exciting. I've just been working heavy, making sure that my school has what we need and just trying to be a better leader is all I've really been doing. My son just had a birthday, so shout out to my son. He turned 10 years old, so that's really crazy to me right now that I have a 10-year-old. So celebrated that pretty much all week, was counting down, then did like a birthday celebration for him. So that's really all that's been going on with me. So happy birthday, son. I love you.
Yes, happy birthday, JR.
So what's up with you? What's going on?
Same here. So last week of work, so just winding down. It's becoming a ghost town. You know, people are just stop showing up after
already.
They just stop showing up. Shouts out to Samantha. She's one of them. Yeah, so you know, just getting through the last couple of days of work, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Just that, and you know, just got back in from Arizona where it's beautiful and nice and sunny, and you get to see the beautiful sunrises and sunsets, and it's just a reminder of how amazing God is. You know,
Amen.
So yeah,
that's what it is.
That's it.
All right. That's what's up. So yeah. You apparently brought back a little sunshine. It's beautiful today in Milwaukee.
So beautiful in Milwaukee means 35, 40.
Right. It's a heat wave, y'all.
35, 40 degrees. That's what we call a heat wave.
It's a heat wave. So, yeah.
And it's crazy because people are like rushing to go get their cars washed and just wilding out today.
Wilding out, y'all. Like, it's a whole line at one of these car wash places, like right next door to the studio.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So, right into Becoming.
Yes. You know, Auntie O will be in Milwaukee, or Auntie O will be in Milwaukee on March 14th, I believe, is the day that she's coming. And I was trying real hard to get tickets, but it's looking
Auntie O or Michelle Obama?
Michelle Obama. So I was thinking Obama for O, but Auntie O is Oprah.
Auntie O is Oprah.
You're right. My bad, y'all. So not Oprah. I don't think she's coming, but that would be dope.
I was like, how did I miss that?
But no, Michelle Obama is coming March 14th to Milwaukee as part of her Becoming book tour. So shout out to you if you all got tickets. That's what's up. But I couldn't. I kept trying the tickets. Every time I tried to get the tickets I wanted to get, they were like, these are no longer available. And they were super high. But that's neither here nor there, which is a good thing because a lot of people want to go see her in regards to this book, because this book is really amazing. And I'm glad that, you know, we were a part of reading this together. And encouraging other people to read it, because I really do think that it's really an amazing book.
Yeah, it is. So I'm one of those people that got tickets, and so I'll be there.
Awesome.
Can't wait. I wish it was sooner than March, but you know, March will be here before we know.
Sure will.
Yeah, just looking forward to it.
I know that's right. Yeah, I'm definitely keep trying. I'm gonna keep going back. You know, people be like, I ain't gonna make it or whatever happens. But I'm definitely gonna keep trying to see if I can get on in there. But I know it's gonna be sad because everybody wants to be there, which is really dope.
Yeah, when I was trying to get tickets, it was like, you are, like, there's people in front of you 1 second. So then I finally waited that out. Then I found a ticket. I went to go pay for it, and it was like, I'm sorry, someone just purchased that ticket.
It was
and that
crazy.
happened like 4 or 5 times. And then I was like, okay, I'm trying one more time
and
to
you
get these tickets. Yeah.
See, yeah, you had to be real persistent because and thankfully, you know, Sherry Renee sent me like the pre-sale thing. So I was like, all right, word, I'm going to go on there. I'm going to get it. So I went on there and it said the same thing for me. Like, it's 881 people in front of you. And I was like, it's not even 800 people in Milwaukee. No, I'm just kidding. But I was like, this is crazy. But then like 10 minutes later, I was at the front of the line. Yeah. But then like all the tickets were like the orchestra and like the stage tickets. I was like, gosh,
so I got an orchestra ticket, but it wasn't like the 400 and 500. So there was some that was like, because for stuff like that, I'm not going unless I'm going to be close.
Oh, sure.
Because then I'll just listen to your book, or you know what I mean? Like, because if I'm going to be that far away, then I'm not here as far as I'm concerned. If I have to watch you from a screen, then I might as well watch you from a screen in the comfort of my own home.
Hey,
so
makes sense.
It just so happens that I was able to get an orchestra ticket. I think it was like $127. Oh,
that ain't bad.
Like that.
Yeah,
right. But when I saw the 500, I was like, you know, I love Michelle.
Listen, listen, Auntie, I need some help. I need a scholarship to buy these tickets.
Right. So, but looking forward to
that.
It
Is what's up. My coworker was saying that, like, yeah, he knew somebody that found $120 ticket too. I wish I would have seen that, but I didn't, and I was just like, oh no. So.
Yeah. Well, first, every time I found it, it was like, I'm sorry, someone took your ticket, and I was like, of course they did. It's the cheapest one.
Right. Goodness, I'm like, Auntie about to have it lit in Milwaukee. But again, the book is really good, and I'm glad that, you know, it has encouraged and sparked and gotten so many people to want to read her book. Maybe those people who, you know, typically don't read. But it's a good read. And I'm glad. I need to purchase a hard copy too, because I haven't done that. So I need to like read it. But listening to it on Audible, shameless plug, use our Audible code. But listening to it on Audible is tight because it feels like she's, you know, you're having that conversation with her. Mm-hmm. So it was really awesome to be able to hear her speak her own words, which is awesome.
So, and shouts out to my sorority because they were able to work with Michelle Obama and get it in our Ivy box. So, we all got hardcovers and a letter from Michelle and a book cover to go with it and different things like that. I have not cracked open that hardcover because I've just been listening to the Audible, but it has inspired me to go back and read Dreams from My Father because I bought that book when we were in college, and I don't think I read it. I'm almost positive that I did. I probably bought it because, you know, Barack was campaigning at the time, and what I didn't know from listening to the book is that Barack Obama wrote that book a long time ago. Yeah. They just resold it when he was campaigning. Which
was a smart move on their behalf, but I didn't know that either, and I need to go back and read that book as well because I was definitely like, okay, I gotta go see what, you know, our forever president was talking about in his book. But it, like I said, like my mom got a hard copy, and I was glad she was able to get a hard copy so she could read the book because, I mean, my mom is a South Side Chicago girl too, so I think it'll really like mean something to her.
Right.
Yeah. But if we want to dive into the book, I want to start. So I looked at it in kind of like chunks, and she kind of wrote it in chunks too, like talking about how her childhood was, and then like being in a relationship with Barack, and then like what happened to them after he became president. So it kind of flows in that manner. But my favorite part was probably like her younger years, like hearing about her growing up, and just hearing her talk about some parts of Chicago that I'm actually familiar with. And it's just like, wow, like I remember going there, or I know what this looks like. And it was just really cool to think about that. And then to hear her talk about her education and how she was just like, you know, my mom and my dad had like they weren't like really rich, like they weren't poor either, but they, you know, lived like really normal lives,
middle class.
Like middle class. And it was really great to hear her talk about her parents and, you know, how they pushed them, and her brother and her did so well. Like they went to really good schools, they went to really great universities. And it was just like, wow, just something like that, just talking to your kids made me really think about, you know, the relationship that I have with my son, and am I pushing him in the right direction to do the right things? So that really like touched me, like hearing about her childhood and her growing up.
When she was talking about, you know, her being in school and just how important it was to her to be able to read the cards on read the spelling cards that the teacher was had before her when she was in kindergarten. And she was like, you know, she missed a word, and the next day when she went home, she was just studying, like, they ain't gonna catch me slipping.
Yeah.
You know, but it really, the reason why I love her book is because in order to know who you are, like, you have to know your foundation and your past, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And because it's all a part of you. And so it just explains so much. Like, she became a box checker. Like, she said that she knew then, even though she probably wouldn't be able to articulate it, she knew then that if the teacher she couldn't prove that she was smart, she was going to be labeled and thrown away.
Yep.
Like the rest of the kids.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's just amazing how children can feel that.
Yeah. And she talks about that too. Like, yeah, that part in kindergarten as well, where she was going to like maybe it was like a neighborhood school or something, and the school was like terrible. And we all know, you know, what those schools look like. And sometimes, unfortunately, in a lot of communities, that school is the only option. Like, a lot of parents aren't knowledgeable enough to say, okay, well, I'm going to pull my kid because I know academically this school is not going to be, you know, the right fit for my child. But her mom, you know, being the woman that she is, was like, okay, well, my kid is not staying at this school. Like, I need to take her out and move her to a better school so that she can be the best kid that she can possibly be. And I thought that was great that she knew, like, going in that classroom, like, this, even as a kid, like, I know this is not the school where I'm going to optimize my learning in this classroom, which was really great. And, you know, that comes from her upbringing and the parents that she's watched, and, you know, those family members and her brother, which was really, like, insightful to see that or to hear that. Haha.
Do you remember kindergarten?
You know, I do really remember kindergarten. Like, I remember big chunks of it. I went to Franklin Pierce elementary school here in Milwaukee. And my sister actually went there too. But obviously my sister is 7 years older than I am. But I remember, like, going to her stuff. And then I remember her coming back and then coming with me to do stuff. But I remember my teacher, Miss Freidenfeld. If she's still alive, that's wonderful. But if she's passed, God rest her soul. But she was pretty old back then. So, you know. But yeah, I remember making a birthday card this one time for my sister in class. And my teacher was like, well, what's your sister's name? And I was like, sister, like, that's her name. She was like, that's not her name. I remember on my birthday where the kids were like singing to me. I remember the first time I got in trouble in kindergarten. This boy like put some lint in my hair, and I put it back in his hair, and I had to stand in the corner, and it was like the worst day of my life. Like, I cried and cried.
I remember getting in trouble in kindergarten too. The first and only time. And my teacher, Miss Jones.
All right, and it's still doing a thing out here.
And I think you've met Miss Jones.
I believe I have.
She came to governor's wedding.
Yeah, Miss Jones. I believe I have.
But she made me sit in the orange chair, the naughty chair.
That's the naughty
and
chair.
And I was like, oh no.
You was crying.
I was boo-hooing. I couldn't believe. I was like, that was like prison.
Oh my
you know?
God. And it was orange.
It was orange.
Yeah.
That's what the purpose of the chair was. It was the naughty chair. And everybody was like, ooh.
Yes.
And I was like, so.
Oh no. So Miss Jones, if you listening, you made Sherry Renee sit in that orange chair. She still remember it. So.
Yeah, it was traumatizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I'm for real. I was like, what?
That's how I felt, like standing in that corner, and I was just like, like, this is the worst thing ever. So yeah, I really remember kindergarten. I feel like I had a really strong teacher, a really strong school community. It was very diverse. Like, it was Hispanic kids, white kids, black kids. Like, it was really a good time in those times. So yeah, and my mom is not the mom where she would have been like, well, I don't like, she wanted me to go to school, but I don't think she knew like the details of the academics. Like, what is the curriculum like? Or, would ask those type of questions. But I do feel like I learned a lot. Like, I mean, I can read now. I know my letter sounds and all of those things. So I really feel like I had a pretty good foundation going to Franklin Pierce. The time that I was there was really like a really good school. I don't know what it's like now, but when I went there, it was really an amazing school. Yeah.
But also just, you know, she was talking about her taking piano lessons. And different things like that. And then I remember it was a performance that she was doing, and so she had to play on another piano, and she was like, she couldn't find the footing, like she couldn't know where to put her hands because she was used to playing on an old piano, and there was like a dent or chips or whatever, so she kind of knew by those landmarks. But she was like, I was just lost, and I've never seen anything so nice. So it's crazy how perspective changes how you see you know what I mean? Because it's like, she didn't, at the time, she never complained about the piano. She didn't know that it wasn't nice until she saw something that was nicer. And then it like stopped her in her tracks to be like, wait a minute. Right. This is what this could be like wow. So yeah, she really goes into detail with her schooling, and just, I love the way she talks about her mom, and I guess I keep bringing it up. But if you all know, during past President Barack Obama's time in the White House, her mom lived with them like the whole 8 years, which was really dope, because I think one other president had done something like that. So yeah, you know, Mrs. Robinson was there, and I thought that was really great. But the way she like talks about her mom in detail, of how her mom would like make their clothes and make sure they had dinner on the table, and you know, her the way she would talk to them to be like straightforward, so that, you know, they wouldn't have to lie. I think she was telling a story about her brother and how he was going to invite this girl to their house, or he was going to go to the girl house, but he ended up like telling the truth, because that's the way the mom was with them. And I was just like, the way she talks about her is really endearing. Like, I could see her mom, like every time she mentioned her, like I could picture her in my head, like talking to them or saying something to them. Well, she said that her mom, you know, her mom would always say, I'm not raising babies, I'm raising adults. So like, you're gonna make your own decisions.
Yeah.
So
whether
do you
good
think
or
you
bad.
should go over that girl's house?
Yep. And he made the right choice, like, you know what? Which is really sweet. And I think right now, in the time that we are in, a lot of young people who have children could benefit from reading that, just to, you know, get some more parenting perspective of what may work for you and your kids. Because I think some of us don't, and I don't think first of all, I don't think anybody knows. Once you have kids, you don't know what to do, because there isn't a manual for that. It isn't a book to be like, okay, we'll do this when they turn 2, or say this. You kind of figure it out along the way. But when you hear like good advice or good stories like that, it's just like, wow. And to see, you know, her upbringing of how she came about, it's just really like, wow, maybe I can consider that or think about doing this with my child. And I'm definitely one like that. Like, I talk to him. I haven't talked to him like a baby. Even when he was a baby, like we would talk to him like normal, like just have conversations with him. And that's really what her parents did, like really had conversations with their kids. And that goes a long, long way.
I also like how, you know, when she would complain about school, like her mom would just listen, and then she would just periodically say stuff like, you don't have to like your teacher to do well in school.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, and putting it back on her.
That?
Yeah, really putting it back on her to be like, okay,
but how her
what
mom was,
you
you know, secretly in the background advocating for her, and she got her yanked out of that class where, you know, where things weren't really, where she wasn't being challenged. But also their family was, the reason why I love how she spent so much time on her childhood is because it made sense, because the problems that she was having with Barack showed up
in her marriage.
Right? Because of their different styles of family.
Ooh, that's good.
And her perspective and her views of what family means. And so that's why I like how she because then it puts you right there with her.
Yep,
you know?
It does. It makes you uncomfortable.
Like,
it
well,
makes you feel,
sense.
yeah, it definitely puts you right in the middle of it. And I'm glad she was very transparent in that, so that we can see, okay, they were the president, the first black president, and the first lady, but they're people too. Like they're still human beings, which was really great. Did it say, I don't recall in the book, did it say that she skipped a grade? Because I thought that she did, but I don't know if she mentioned that in the book.
Not that I heard.
Yeah, but I could have sworn, like I read somewhere or heard something that she skipped a grade, but whatever. But I was like, she didn't talk about it in the book. Or maybe that's not true. So I'll have to.
No, we making up stuff.
Right. Could be making up stuff.
But no, but her family was very tight and very close. And, you know, she would spend weekends with, what's his name?
Southside.
Yeah.
And
so, you know, like family and closeness was very important to her. And not only that, but it became like a value.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
And it did. It
and
really
even
did.
even when she got her period, she told everybody in the house, like, I'm bleeding.
Like, and that's the type of family
right,
they
that's
had.
the type
of
of
house
family
they
had.
had. So that that is funny. And I love the relationship that she has with her brother too, and you know how they can just talk. And how she was being very transparent when her father passed, and she was like, yeah, this is the first time that me and him had an argument in our lives. And she was like, you know, that sadness and that sorrow will totally do that to you. But it was great that she was transparent, because those are things that real people go through. These are real things that, you know, in our everyday lives that we have to touch on and go through. And I don't think people talk about that enough, of what that does to you when a loved one passes like that. Yeah. So I was, and I knew, like, listening to the book, like, I know that her father passed away, but like hearing it in her words, it was just like, like,
yeah,
I was
her voice
really
was kind of cracking when she was reading it.
It was.
And I was just like, oh my God. But
yeah, it was. She takes you right with her. Like, if her life was this type of movie or is on film, like, we're jumping through every scene's like kind of right with her as she's telling her story, which says a lot about the type of writer and how her way with words really good.
Yeah. And then, so, you know, obviously she talks about her being in school and kind of growing up. And then eventually she goes off to Princeton.
Yeah. Oh, God. Because it's funny, because she's a real black woman. Like, I don't want to say that to be like they're fake black women, but she's definitely like my cocoa butter, my hair stuff. Like, she's on it. And to see her, like, when she first got to Princeton, she was like, yeah, it's like real white here. And I'm glad she was real about that, because those of us who went to PWIs, we know what that feels like to be like, it is really white.
Yeah, when she talked about Princeton, and obviously Princeton and Marquette are on two different scales.
Right, they are. But however, they still really white. Both of them.
And it brought back all the memories of being on Marquette's campus, and, you know, like, not wanting to eat any of the food because it was nasty.
It was bland.
Just, the limo not wanting to pick us up.
All the
do you
time.
remember that?
Yes, I do. And every time I was just on campus with my mom taking her graduation pictures, and every time I'm at the library, I get that memory of them not wanting to pick us up.
And we would be the one who called for the limo, and they would stop and pick up the white kids and just keep on going, and we standing there waving. I remember one time I called. Yeah, I was gonna say one time I called back, and I was like, and I just had it at that point. And I just told him, I said, and he wouldn't pick us up because we're black, and I'm the one who called. So you tell them to come back here and pick up the black girl.
Right. Right. And we would have to chase them down with our ID cards in our hands. Like, dude, we are students here. Like, we pick us up. Yes. But it's crazy, because then, like, later, like, after I had left and y'all had graduated, then they start hiring like more black kids to do the driving.
Last year they were on the news for racial slurs and everything. Yeah, it was in the paper.
Oh my god!
Like, people were just saying how racist it is on the campus, the culture.
Oh my goodness!
I remember obviously being the only black girl in class, and I remember in my economics class, 400 students, just one of me, so 399 white people, and one of Sherry Renee. And the professor would call on me back to back every day, because she knew my name because I'm the only black girl. Right. And I remember this one day I just had it with her, and I told her, I said, you're not going to keep calling on me. There are 399 other people in here.
Girl, you better learn
that name.
She was
like, right. And she was like, you know what? You're right. I am so sorry. And she went and got her seating chart. And then, because she likes to randomly call on people, but she don't know nobody's name.
Listen.
So then she went and that lady did not call on me for the rest of the semester.
And I'm glad you told her about herself, because you better pick stick who you going to pick or something. Right. Because
I mean, at first I would just be like, dang, like, I really got to be on it. She don't. And then, but she literally, in one lecture, called on me like 4 times. And I'm like, dude, there are 300. And you could be like, you on the front, or you know what, you can just call out hey Johnny, Billy,
because somebody
Matthew,
in here, that's their name.
right? There's 399 people in
Matthew,
here. You're
Mark,
bound,
Luke,
John, right? Just
No.
call a regular common name that's not mine.
I cannot. That's ridiculous, though. Like, wow.
It's crazy though, because at that time I really didn't mean to even say it. That's just, she called me again and it just came out my mouth.
Yeah.
Because I was just so pissed off.
Yeah.
But I didn't intend to be the angry black girl.
Hey,
it just
but
happened.
sometimes, don't push
That
me.
lady,
Right. I'm close
Okay.
to the. But yeah, it would have been funny if you would have got up and like really like put on the show, like start counting people, like 1, 2, like all these people in here.
And then just started calling Mary,
Right.
John, Sarah, Billy,
For real.
Bob,
What are
Jody.
you waiting for?
Right.
Call somebody
Dang.
else, bro. That is, man, yeah. Those times in Marquette, like, and that stuff, definitely, you really see it.
But
once
the
you're
thing
in
that
it.
stuck out to me the most was her roommate and her. Well, I don't remember if this was at Princeton or if it was at Harvard. I'm wanting to say that it was Princeton, but her roommate didn't want to room with her. Because she was black.
She was black, yeah.
And her mom was advocating for her daughter and said, "I'm just gonna be completely honest here. My husband works for the police. We use the N-word as a common practice in our house.
Lord.
She will not do well in an environment with with people of Michelle's kind."
Yeah. No, I think that was at Princeton. I remember that in that part. But that's crazy. And I would have been like, that's fine. Well,
Right. Good day.
Hey, good day, right? We'll never have to cross paths again. Do whatever you gonna do, but don't do it in front of me.
But I bet you now that girl's her like, yeah, me and Michelle were roommates.
Exactly. You know that's what she doing.
She trying to get on the book tour.
You
And
know that's what
she taking
doing.
interviews and everything.
Listen, because, it's people like that, racist people like that, they don't care about you
But I
unless
think
you're
that
doing
it just
something
goes
for
to
them.
show that it's taught. You know
For
what
sure.
I mean?
Yes, that's
because
taught.
your mom is advocating for this behavior. Your dad is working for the police and saying that he's going after. He would say things like, "I can't wait to arrest more of these N-words today." You know, like that's crazy.
Yeah, that's all learned behavior, and they teach their children, and their children's children teach it. So, yeah, you learn something wrong, it's very hard to fix that.
The
once
other
you learn
thing
something
that she
incorrectly.
said that reminded me of myself is she was like, I didn't engage with the students. Like, it just was so foreign to me that, and she was like, and part of it was them, but part of it was me. And that was me at Marquette. Like, if you think about Ryan from Chicago, she made friends with everybody. I left with the same friends that I came with.
I swear, yeah, no new friends except Ryan was like
except
the
for
only
Ryan,
one.
she was the only, and
only
it was
one.
a close watch with her.
Yeah, and I walked right into that.
That
I
was
just
really
like,
Scarlett.
Yeah.
Scarlett was the gateway to Ryan.
I'm like, okay, I'm like, if they rolling with her, I guess I am too. Because
exactly.
we one band, one sound around here. But shout out to Ryan, who also went to Whitney Young with Michelle Obama. They had the same alma mater, so I really think that's dope. Every time I hear her talk about Whitney Young, like Ryan went there too. So that's awesome. But yeah, no, at Marquette, yeah, totally. When I left Marquette and went to Alverno, which is another PWI, I had made no friends. I was just like, you know what?
It was kind of like
vision.
It was kind of like, I'm here, but I'm not engaged. Like, I'm just coming to get this degree.
Yeah, it was totally tunnel
it.
vision. And at least y'all did stuff like y'all did Nesby, like y'all tried to.
So at that time, I was still on the hope and dream that I was going to leave. So around senior years, when I started accepting.
For 3 years.
I know, but around senior year, that's when I started accepting, like, I guess I go here.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I'll join Nesby and, try to be engaged.
You tried to engage a little bit at the
so
end.
I messed those folks.
Yeah, which more black people, hey,
yeah.
but that's great. But yeah, I didn't do nothing at Marquette.
And then she also talked about how they operated, and I remember thinking the same thing. She was like, they had their doors unlocked. They would just leave their personal belongings out. And I remember that's how we were at Marquette. Like, we were like, oh my God, they just leave their stuff. Like, they leave in a bathroom, they leave their jewelry,
everything.
They'll leave their phones, they'll leave everything, and have full confidence that it's going to be there when they come back. And it is.
It is.
And remember, in our dorm, they would be like an open doors and open floor. Yeah. And me and you was the only people that refused. We was like, not only will the door not be open, but it will be locked.
And we used to lock
We don't
ourselves
know,
out
y'all.
the room
Yeah,
all
every day.
the time.
Every day.
because it was truly like everybody else was open, so we would go to the bathroom, lock our door, forget something, be locked out, had to go downstairs to get the key
with the towel, just the towel on. Trying to get the...
That's those cultural things, though. You know, in our neighborhoods, ain't nobody leaving doors unlocked.
Ain't nothing unlocked.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Locking up everything.
And the one time we did leave the door unlocked,
somebody walked.
Somebody came in.
Listen, and got in my bed.
And you thought it was me. Like, why would I do that? I have my own bed.
No, I thought you was having a nightmare or something, but I was just like, bro.
Yeah, I was asleep. And you was just like, it's okay. Are you okay? I thought you were talking in your sleep. I was like, I wish you would shut up. Shoot, I got to get up and go to work in the morning at 6.
Yeah, that true story. So we in our room knocked out.
It was the middle of the night. In our dorm room, knocked out sleeping.
Oh gosh. And our door creaks open, but I'm half asleep, so I'm just like, sleep. Yeah, like, because I saw the light, because the hallways be bright in the mug. So I seen the light. And I'm just like, sleep, dream. I don't know what's happening. So then, I hear like whimpering, like this mystery person is like whimpering and like making all kind of noises, like sliding in my bed. So I'm thinking it's Sherry because, she's my roommate. So I'm like,
well, I guess I should be the only person, but I'm like,
because I'm like, roommate,
but I like my own space. I would never
right. I'm like, are you having a nightmare? Like, let me help you.
I was thinking like, because I could hear you. I was thinking like, Chanel's a really compassionate person. You're like, it's going to be okay. Like, it's okay. What's wrong? Just tell me what's wrong. And I was thinking like, but she needs to shut up though, because it's got to be like a good 3 or 4 a.m.
Right, girl, shut up. So then somehow we turn on the lights and I'm like, hold up,
because I was like, who are you talking to? Like, what is going on? And you was like, oh, this ain't you.
This ain't Sherry. Hey, hold up, we about to fight.
And that girl who was crying, then we turned on the light, she's like, oh my bad, and then she ran out the room. So I guess she came in the wrong dorm.
Oh God! Because the one time we left our door unlocked.
Yeah, that's why I was like, no.
That's what happened.
Now we double lock it.
Oh gosh! Listen, we put the deadbolt on, the chain, everything. Like, we can't chance it no more. So y'all, that's what happened to us at our PWI, and that's why we lock our doors now.
Predominantly white institution.
Yeah. So
shouts out to Marquette.
Shout out to them for sure. But we feel you, Michelle Obama, and what that felt like. Again, apples and oranges, Princeton and Marquette, but the premise of it being majority white is the same.
And then I used to hate when you had to do a group project. Nobody would ever want to be in a project
at all.
With me. Yeah. And I'd be like, okay, that's
I hate group projects, period, though. All white people. They just not fun. But hey, it's me. So yeah. So then, and her brother went to Princeton too. And she knew people because he played basketball for Princeton, which was good because then you come in and you know people and you kind of have that foundation kind of set for you. So I feel like she had that going for her. But had she not had her brother gone there prior to her, it would have been a much, much more different experience for her if she hadn't had that foundation from him. So then she leaves Princeton. Did she go to Harvard right away? She went to Harvard too, right? Mm-hmm. Was it like right after that? Because I know in one part she was talking about like being at home. Like she moves back home with her parents. And she's like taking care of her dad. And yeah, this is when she's noticing that her dad is like really sick at this point with MS. He has MS. I was trying to think of what he had. He had MS. I don't know much about the disease, which is... ignorance on my part. But I should probably learn more about it. But I think it has to do with like your muscles and things like that. But her dad was such a soldier, and that's why I love Black people, because despite it all, like, we persevere and we just get stuff done, like, regardless of what's going on in our lives. And he was totally like that, like, still going to work, and he could barely like put his boots on or stand up. And she's like watching him like struggle. And that part was so sweet, like watching him struggle to get his boots on, but he couldn't stand because it hurt him to even be up. And she's like, okay, well, I'm not going to touch him. I'm going to just leave him alone and go upstairs. And, I'm going to come back down a little bit and I'm going to help him take his stuff off so he, can stay home and not go to work. And she goes back downstairs and he's gone. Like he willed it somehow, some way to make it to work, because that's that's what we do. We don't let anything stop us. We get it going. And I thought that was tight that she had that memory of her dad. Yeah.
It's also crazy, too, how, she said that she hates when people would ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? As if it's like this definitive thing. Like, you choose something, you become it, and then you're done. Like, mission complete. And she was like, you're constantly evolving and changing and therefore becoming. So it's not an end goal. It's more like, what are you doing in this phase of your life? Or, what do you aspire to do right now? And how she would always come up with these answers that would get applause. Like, oh, I want to be a pediatrician or something like that. And so she ended up doing law school over at Harvard. So I think she studied sociology or something at Princeton, and then she moved over to Harvard, where she went to law school, took the LSAT, did all of that, gets into Harvard, and then eventually goes off to start working at this law firm. And she was talking about how she didn't pass the LSAT. I'm sorry, the LSAT.
bar.
But she didn't pass the bar.
Yeah.
And I was like, should have went to Wisconsin, because then you don't got to take the bar. No.
About to be a lawyer out here.
Right.
You are a lawyer. You can be a lawyer.
Should have went to Madison or Marquette and stayed in Wisconsin.
Hey.
Forget Chicago.
On the real.
No. But yeah, and then she said, after she told her colleagues, and they were like, yeah, I didn't pass it the first time either. But how for her, it wasn't, she was talking about failure in that moment, and how it just makes you feel so diminished, and she was like, you really only fail when you quit, but that's in that moment,
it's the end of the world.
It's urgent, it's overwhelming, it's like pure defeat. So
especially something like that, like a bar exam, or anybody who's had to take some type of exam like that. I know like teachers have to take like the praxis or all these new exams to get licensure. And even with my practice, like I passed like 2 parts of it, and then I had to like retake the math part because I'm terrible with math, and I was just like, oh no, because these tests aren't free. That was my issue. Like I gotta pay for this again.
And she was saying how for her, back then you would take it and then you get the results like months later.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, because this was like the 90s. Yeah.
So back in the 99.
Yeah.
And so
that's trash.
She called her dad and was like, did you get anything from, the bar association? And he was like, yeah. And she was like, open it. And she, it just, it was one of those things. But it's so amazing hearing about how she is and how prepared she is and being on time and being so precise and all of this. And then, she gets told while she's at this law office that they want her to mentor someone. Some big shot from Harvard is coming, and everybody's been talking about him, and he shows up late.
He's so great.
He's so great. He's so great. And it's funny because I didn't even see it coming that was Barack Obama.
And I did, because I watched the movie. I've seen a couple of movies about him. So I watched Barry, and then I watched Southside with You. So a lot of the stuff that she said like really made sense once.
Yeah.
I
didn't watch them.
So. You totally got to watch Southside with You now that you've read the book. Like, you don't be like, okay, because Southside with You is from his perspective.
Okay.
So then hearing her side of what happened is really like, okay, y'all. So yeah, it's really good. Sweet. So yeah, this big hot shot is in town is it like an intern or a practicum or something? Is what he was doing?
I think he was doing an internship.
Yeah. So he's interning, and she's his mentor, and she about her business at this point.
Yeah, and he shows up late, and she was saying how she was talking about how he was dressed.
Yes.
And she was like, to be a big shot.
Yeah, she was ripping him a lot in the book. But yeah, she was like, oh, okay, like, this is y'all, like, golden child? Well, all right, then.
Like, he ain't that type.
Right. Like,
and she was like, and everybody just talked about how cute he was. And so, but this is before she met him. She said, but she was thinking, like, put a suit on any black man and he'll be fine.
Yes,
so,
and she ain't lying.
She right about that.
That is the truth. Like, you put a suit on him, and we gonna be like, all right, then, who is that? So, yes. But yeah, so they were, and that person we all know is Barack Obama. Before he was just Barack Obama at this time. He wasn't senator or you know,
he was Barry.
He was just Barry. Yes, he was just Barry, and that was it. Working at this law firm with her, and I love her perspective of what was going through his mind, which really makes me want to read his memoir to see what was actually going through his mind during this time. But the way that she saw him was he was filled with hope. And I guess that's what I kept recurring to me every time she talked about him. Like, the people in the communities, like community organizers and people like that, like really liked him. Like, he was really about making changes in these communities. And it was evident, like, you know, he was living just like them. Like, the way he lived was no different than the people that he was trying to help and uplift, which was really dope to me.
But it also makes sense as to why they're so different. You know what I mean? And how it showed up, because like the relationship that he had with his mom and with his dad and his grandparents, to him, space doesn't mean I don't love you.
Yep.
Being away from you for months or years at a time doesn't mean that I don't love you.
Yeah, it didn't
Not
faze him.
seeing you every day doesn't change that I love you.
Yep.
But to her, if you love me, you'll be here every day.
Right.
You'll have dinner with me. Like, you're going to show up.
So I need you to be here, because that was her upbringing. They were
But
there.
he was raised, you know, his mom he was over in Hawaii. She was,
and she lived in Indonesia.
Yeah. But they were right.
Yep.
You know? And it's funny how she actually tried to set him up with some other chick.
She did. Thank God that didn't work, because that would have been funny. And it's funny because if you've watched Barry, the movie Barry, he was dating this other woman too. Like, right before it goes through him dating this woman, and it's just like, wow, like, what if he would have married her and not, you know, went on this date with Michelle? Like, you know, history would be different. But yeah, so it's funny that she was like, yeah, because Michelle's biggest thing was like, we work together, like, we're colleagues, like, I don't see him in any other way.
You're a smoker, and that's the deal breaker.
Yes, him smoking them cigarettes. She was like, oh no, and his timeliness, like, she was really like, we don't align, like, everything that I do.
But that just goes to show how so later on she talks about how everything that he did was like a buildup, like him reading all these books, him being a community organizer, like it all ended up shaping out together. And she knew at the time that he's working on something, but he's not sure what, and I'm not sure what, but he's not scared of the outcome.
Yeah.
Whereas she wanted to check the boxes, be a lawyer, that's secure, but she hated it. Hated it.
Yes. And as you're listening to her talk about that, like, you feel the buildup in it too. Like, okay, like, even though we knew the outcome, like, what was going to happen, but hearing her, like, go through it, it was really like, okay, what's going on? Like, God, like, he doing all this stuff. Like, what's going on? But, and she saw that in him. Like, he does all of this. Like, his mind is going a million miles a minute. Like, he's here, he's there, like, he's everywhere. But this dude is special. And I love how she was really saying that. Like, I saw this light in him, and it reflected onto her to be like, okay, well, what is this light telling me I need to do? And I thought that was really, man, it was so beautiful. Like, I could see it in my brain, like, what was going on. Like, it was super cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but it also just goes to show that, you know, he had a totally different perspective of life.
Yeah.
Where he was chasing purpose. And she said that he would always say, I just do what aligns with my morals and values. That's it.
Yep.
So, you know, when those other law firms were offering him, you know, corporate attorney jobs and things like that, he was like, yeah, I'm going to do civil law.
Yeah.
And it was like, you ain't going to make no money in civil law. And he was like, yeah,
that's all right.
I'm doing civil law.
Because that's where my heart's telling me to go.
Right.
So, yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Thank God that he did that. But eventually, you know, he won his way over to her, and they went out on this date. Which is a historical date, because there's actually historical sites if you go to Chicago. Like, they have like the plaques and everything about their first date, which was super cute. But you all know about that. But then fasting forward, I think my absolute favorite part in the book is when he proposed to her. Like, was my absolute favorite
he was
part.
Wrong for that.
Yeah. Yes, like, because I had no idea. I had never heard her talk about that story, or it wasn't in a movie or anything like that, so I didn't know. So I'm glad that you brought up that how different they really are, like how much they value time, and how much Michelle values time, and Barack is like really
before the proposal. So obviously, again, he was being mentored by her, but then he had to go finish school, so he had to go back to Harvard, and then they began dating long distance. And even then, he was like, I'm not really a phone type of guy, so maybe I'll drop you a letter every now and again. And she was like,
no, bro.
Because she was like, like, I go eat with my grandparents every week. Like, I see my mom every day. Like, I talk to Craig every day.
Yeah.
Like, you gonna call. And she was like, back then there weren't cell phones like that. And, so you had to have your butt at home.
Yes.
And it would be late.
Yes.
And they would be talking, on the phone late at night. And then when he finally did finish school and come back to Chicago, actually he would come and stay with her for the summer
and live with her.
Yeah. But then she was talking about how he drove this old, just raggedy, just trifling.
That car was
banana
trifling.
Yellow car.
Yes, yeah. And if you've seen Southside with You, that car was trifling. Like, it had a whole hole in the floor.
But she was saying how. But I think the symbolism behind that is that's him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, he don't care about stuff like that. He's trying. Does it work? Is it a vehicle?
Right.
Is it gonna let me do what I need to do?
Then it's good.
I don't need a Lexus.
Yep.
But she drove a Saab.
Yeah, she did, because she was like, okay, I worked for this.
And she had a wine subscription.
Yes.
And just.
She was very fancy.
Yeah, she was,
But she worked for those things because, again, her upbringing was nothing like that.
Right.
But she was like, well, I work hard, so this is what I can afford for myself. Like, this what I'm going to get. So, yeah.
And he would say that he did not agree with the Constitution of marriage.
Yep, he did. He was telling her that. But, and this lady, so if you're listening, she set her standards clear. Like, he was trying to pull that and be like, I don't believe in this. And, you might have heard that a time or two. But she was really like, okay, well, I hear what you're saying. However, if we're going to do what we're going to do, then I want to be married. Like, that's my end goal.
I love how, because she saw how her parents were married, she never questioned would she be married. Like, that, it was just like, to who?
Right. Yep. To who? To fill in that part.
But she always knew, like, she never doubted that she was going to be alone.
Yep.
So, and obviously family was very important to her. So clearly it was a desire, but during the time when he was trying to date her, she was like, I'm not trying to do that right now. Like, I'm trying to solidify my career and get my life together, and you smoke.
Yeah.
So no.
I'm glad he don't smoke no more, because that is ugly. Like, why are you smoking a cigarette? That's foul. That's so foul. Like, ugh, get out of here with that. But yeah, so and it's funny because in most relationships, like, those opposites do like bring you together, but then you have to navigate through those and how those are going to work in your relationship. So I'm glad that she was talking about the conversations they would have about making routine and making it important that you do call, because we are doing this long distance, and just making things work with the situation or what they were given at that time. And they always were able to communicate and gotta keep going with their relationship, which is really awesome and a good testament of what relationships look like. They aren't all straight lines. They curve and they zigzag, but you have to work through all of that with whoever your partner is. So they long distance dated for like 2 years, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I think it was like 2. He had to finish up the last 2 years, and then he ended up like writing for the Harvard Law Review, and he was just getting all these accolades and different opportunities at Harvard.
Yeah.
To the point that when he graduated, he was being offered lots of different opportunities at different companies, including hers.
Yep.
But at that time, he had an idea for a book that he sold and got an advancement for like $40,000.
Yep. And that's when she started to see that he was real special.
Yeah.
Like, it's something about this dude that he about to do something huge, and he's special. Yeah.
Right.
So that's when he went away too, to that like small cottage house. Like, that was the first book.
So he was supposed to be writing, but then I think he got kind of sidetracked with some other stuff.
Okay.
But no, actually, I think that was for the second book.
That was the second book. Okay.
The first book was for Dreams from My Father.
Okay, yeah.
But to your point, they're different. And then too, his dad wasn't around like that, and then he ended up having like these half brothers and sisters who he didn't really know. But when he would meet them, they would create lasting bonds. But to him, I don't have to see you every day. Like that's how he grew up.
Yep.
And so, but Michelle needed routine, stability, predictability. He likes to blow in the wind and let his passion lead him.
Yeah.
And if I'm here, I'm here. And if I'm not, that should be cool too.
Yes. Yep.
But it's funny because as I was reading, because Michelle was like, "Oh yeah, I'm really outgoing. Like I like to be around people. Like that's so important to me." And like Barack is like in his head. He's always reading some book. She'll be like, "What you thinking about?" And he'll be like, underemployment, or
like some real random. Like, why are you thinking about that right like now? Who's at poverty? What?
Right.
Like, why? Why are you thinking about that?
But and he didn't like to be restricted or confined. And actually, as I was reading it, I was like, he sounds like me. Like if I had to pick one of the two, which actually I was thinking like I'm like Michelle Obama, but when I was reading it, I was like, oh, I am nothing like Michelle Obama. Right. Because I don't like people.
That is funny.
No, I love people, but just in small doses.
Right, when you want to.
When I want to.
Hey, and there's nothing wrong with that.
But she was talking about no matter where they lived or whatever, he always needed a room to himself where he could just read and just be. And I'm like, yeah, like that's me. Like I like my space. I love to read books. Like I'm working on something always. So, but back to the whole idea of marriage, he was just like, yeah, I mean, if we love each other, well, why we need to do that?
When he said that, I was like, you better not. Like I was really like cussing him out in my head. Like, no, he didn't say that to her. Like, oh no. But I'm glad she was like, no, like she stood firm in what, she knew was her destiny for herself to be like, yeah, I'm getting married. I don't know what you're talking about.
And so this one day they go to this restaurant, one that they've been to a million times over. And she said he just decided to pick a fight with me about marriage again. We've already had this conversation. And he's like, we just, and it's crazy because they're both lawyers. So they're both making these arguments to support their case.
So cute.
It's like, it's crazy. And she said she got hot and she was just trying to compose herself because, people were around.
Yeah, she kept it real. Like, yeah, I'm about to go in on you.
Right. And so he does all this. Like, I mean, I just don't get it. I just don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. And that's just not who I am. And then the waiter comes over and brings, was it supposed to be a cake? Or
it was like dessert in their dessert.
And it was a ring box.
Yeah. I was like, yay. Like, I know they're married, but I was still like excited. Like, yay, that's so great. But he did her good. That was good.
Yeah, but he did it like, just to get her riled up and never see it coming.
Yeah.
She didn't.
She did not see that coming. And I was just like, that was like, look at him. Like, he looks like he's that type of guy who would do that.
Yeah, trifling. He looked trifling. Because that's trifling. What that is.
With his little smoking lips. So he knew. But that was like my favorite part of the book. And I was just like, look at them. Like, they are so cute and so real. Like, despite sitting at the highest seat in the land, like, these are real Black people, which, we needed this. We needed this story. We needed that to happen to, really embrace who we are. So I was like, this part of this book was sweet. But then, after they got engaged, they have this wedding, and then it gets real again in their marriage. Some of the same issues come up about, their differences and what that looks like. And now that we're married, so then he goes into this, the second book is what I was thinking about when he went away. And they had just gotten married.
Well, it's because he lost his contract. So he got an advancement for $40,000 for this second book, and he didn't meet his deadline.
Yep.
He got busy doing the voting campaign.
Yep.
So he was going around, I forget how many new voters they successfully registered, but he was all about that.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh, I'll do that book later.
Right. I can get it done.
Right.
And yeah.
And he missed it. And so then he was able to get it resold to somebody else eventually, but he had to make good on that promise and sit down and write it.
Yep. So they're newlyweds, and he got to get up and leave and go make sure this book gets done. So he goes to this like remote place so he could write.
Yeah, and I think the plan was to go there for like, what was it, 3 months?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So he goes there and he's away, and they're trying to figure out what this looks like for us now that we're married. Like, what is married life like for us?
And she's like, my husband.
Yeah.
I love when she says that.
So
because
cute.
she says it so much, and it's like, sometimes it's like, my husband, like whom I adore.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, my husband with his trifling
self. With his little late tail. So, yeah. And you can hear it in her tone.
Sometimes it's like, my husband.
Yeah. It's
so.
like, we Russian. So,
right.
yes. That's funny that you say that. She does do that in the book.
And this is when he first became her husband. So she's like, my husband.
Yes.
Like, what did I do here?
Right. Because it's a strange feeling to be like, oh, you my husband now. Like, okay. So he goes away, man, and he's writing this book, and they're trying again to be like, okay, well, what does time look like for me? What does it look like for you? Like, how can we keep this communication going? So they were talking on the phone all the time, even though, Barry didn't like talking on the phone, but now you gotta do what you gotta do, because now you're married and your wife needs to talk to you. So they do that, and I want to say at this time, his dad passed away during this time too. It could have been. Anywho, his father passes away, and they go to Africa, which was another really good part in the book. So they go out to Kenya, and Michelle, I believe she had never been there. Like, she had been to Jamaica. She talks about some other places that she had been traveling abroad, but she had not been to Africa. So they go to Kenya for his father's homegoing service and things like that. And she talks about what her experience was like when she got there. And she talks about how it felt very foreign to her. Like, they're black, but it felt different. Like, her black felt different than their black.
Well, not only that, but how she was expecting it to feel like home, because we know our lineage and our heritage leads there, but just feeling so distant when she got there.
And disconnected.
And that's why, like, for me, I'm like, I'm black. You know what I mean? Because in my mind, it's like, you know how people say, like, oh, I'm European American. Yeah. It's because they know where they're from.
Right. Yeah.
And they have that language or the culture. We don't have that.
Yeah. And whoever thought of that, like, because I mean, you could be like,
I think that the people that are African American are the people who came over here and migrated from Africa.
I agree. I totally, and I've been saying that for years too. Like, I'm not African American. I've never even been to that continent. Like, I don't know what that'd be like. So yeah, I agree with that. But it's funny because I was listening to the Breakfast Club, and
Charlamagne was talking about it.
Yeah, they were talking about going to South Africa, and he felt a connection. Like, he felt very much like, okay, I'm home, like, these are my people. But he was like, but my wife didn't feel that. Like, she felt that disconnect. He was like,
well,
I remember
think
reading her book.
What he was saying was that he felt that right now for him in America, it feels out of place. Like, everything is wrong, and so he felt like when he was there, everything was right. Like, it was just a sense of correctness.
Yeah.
When being there. But for her, she was like, I was dressed wrong. I bought these new white shoes. They were laughing at me. We had to push the car. My shoes turned red. The real Africans was looking at me like, she was like, even though with my dark skin, they was still staring at me like, where am I? One of the ladies there said, which one of your parents is white?
Yeah, I think it was his grandma or something. Like, it was like a older person in the family. And when she asked her that, she was like,
like, they're actually very black. Right. But whatever.
Bliggity black is what you mean.
And it's funny because I was thinking, how can you say that when one of Barack Obama's parents is white?
Right. But hey, they're and it's weird because Michelle Obama she's more chocolate hue, so it was funny that they asked her that.
I think that what they were saying is like, we know that you're not African.
Right. So, right, she could have been like, well, somewhere down the line, somebody in my family is white, because, there was this thing called the slave trade. So, yeah. But no, I really felt that, and I've never even been to, like I said, I've never been to any country in Africa. But I would imagine that I would feel that same type of way too. And it's not, I would feel sad because I don't know that part of me. So knowing that they would look at me differently, like, it would really probably make me feel like, dang, like, I'm missing out on all of this, like, culture and heritage, which is, not my fault, and it's not their fault either, but it's just like I would feel some type of disconnectedness from that. So I was glad that she brought that up in her book, that she kind of felt that disconnect as well when she went the first time.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So they go there, and then shortly after that, they come back, and then they want to have kids now. And I'm glad this was another really dope topic that I'm glad she brought up too, which was she struggled conceiving, or not conceiving, she struggled holding the baby, I want to say.
I think she only got pregnant once.
Okay, and she had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's another topic that, Black people don't really talk about. We don't mention that. We just, we deal with it. It happens to us. We deal with it and we go about our life.
But she talked about how once she confided in her friends, they were all like, yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm, Right. So it's not as uncommon as you believe. Exactly. Like, why y'all didn't tell me? Like, come on, y'all. So yeah, she wanted to have a family. So they had to do IVF, and they get pregnant with their oldest daughter. Malia is the oldest daughter. I think she has a different first name. Like, they call her Malia, but her first name is something else. Or maybe that's the little
Sasha
daughter.
Has a different
that's
name.
The little daughter.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, one of them got a different name, but they call her that. Like, Sasha's nowhere near her, none of her names, but they call her that. So it's really funny that that's what they call her. When her name is like, one of their names is like Natasha or something like that. So yeah, Sherry's looking it up,
but her name is Natasha.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But she called her Sasha because she said it sounds sassy.
Oh Lord, that's funny. So we should give you a made up name that don't got nothing to do with none of your names.
There's a lot of Black people with names, nicknames that sound
nothing
like their name.
Nothing to do with their name. And I'm like, that's a very Black
Michelle
thing
Obama
to do.
Niche.
Yeah.
So, and when she says it, I'm like, cause she'll be like niche, and I'm like, it doesn't even sound right when you say it. It's like, this is what people were calling you.
What is this? Where does this come from? But that's a real Black
Niche.
thing. I like that though.
Like, where is Niche and Michelle? I don't know.
No,
it's not
nowhere in it. But come on, Black people. I love that.
That's what I love too.
Yes, I love them.
Because that's how you know the people that really know you.
Yep. For sure. Like, you can't call me that unless you really know
exactly
me.
That's like it's really like a code name.
Yeah, yep. Because you got to go way back to call me this. And if you don't, then you can't call me that, bro. So they have the babies. They have their oldest daughter. And then during this time, he's starting to get more political. Like, people are looking at him politically. And he's doing more activism in Chicago. And then they talked about a lot of stuff about Chicago that I didn't know, like the first Black mayor and things like that. Like, I just didn't know about. But as I was talking to my mom, I was reading it, and she was like, yeah, I remember that happening. Like, it was real crazy in Chicago. So they had their first Black mayor, and he won, very similarly to how Barack Obama won his first campaign. But then shortly after he was elected to the mayor's office, he died. Yeah. And my mom was telling me, like, yeah, I remember that happening. Like, she thought it was like a big conspiracy. Like, Chicago is really segregated too. I know in our last episode we talked about Milwaukee being a very segregated city and, top 3 worst cities for African Americans, but Chicago is very similar to that as well. And they're also on the list too. I think they were number 15. But anyway, yeah, she was like, yeah, the white people did not want him to be mayor of Chicago. Like, they didn't like him. And she was like, growing up during this time, like, it was a really big conspiracy theory in the Black community that he was murdered, because that's how bad they didn't want him to be in office. And I'm not saying this is true. This is all conspiracy or hearsay or whatever. But it made me think about this show called Boss that I used to watch, which was also about the mayor of Chicago and how corrupt he was. But check that show out if you watch TV. But it was really interesting and I love how that mayor kind of set the foundation for Barack to do what he did, because it was so like, wow, like where did this guy come from? And look at what he's doing for Chicago. So I like that he followed on that model, but that was just interesting. I like stuff like that. So it was just something else that I can learn about, because I did not know that story about the first black mayor of Chicago and how he died shortly after being elected. So yeah, but then Barack they're looking at him because I don't know how it happened. Like a senator spot opened up or something, for him. Like somebody lost their seat or something. So that's how he got it.
I don't remember all of that. We could talk about that in the next episode.
Yeah.
But I do know, I think that he ended up giving a public address for another senator.
Okay.
And everybody was like, who is that guy with the weird name? And that's when he started to like get some traction and a lot of attention.
Gotcha.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't heard him speak. I mean, I've seen him on TV, but you've actually seen him speak in real life. So I'm sure he's very moving and very like powerful in what he says, which is, wow, great. So yeah, and the book goes on, and we're gonna continue to talk about it. But yeah, first black president. I think we're all still like in shock that all even happened. Like 8 years of a black president, like that's really crazy. And he's still really young, too. Because as we know, I think it's only 5 living presidents right now, and he's one of them. And the other 4 are like real old. Like I didn't know Bill Clinton was as old as he is. I didn't know our current president was as old as he is. But yeah, he's really young. He's like 57. Which is young. Like, my mama older than him. Like, that's crazy. So, yeah. But this book, again, we needed it. Like, if we ever had, like, a real Wakandan superhero, like, this is it. Like, they're living that. And it's amazing because they don't act any differently than they were. Like they don't put themselves on a pedestal. They just they are who they are.
Michelle's common theme throughout her story is, am I good enough? That's her reoccurring thought.
Yeah.
Her reoccurring mindset is always wondering and then trying to prove that she's good enough by checking the boxes and going to the most prestigious schools. And she even talks about how she never even considered the University of Chicago, Illinois, and how it's right there, and how her mom worked there, and she didn't ever even came. So it was like, no, I gotta go to Princeton.
Yeah, I gotta do this,
and then I gotta go to Harvard.
Yeah,
and then what's the best thing that you could be? I gotta be a lawyer.
Yep.
Corporate law,
checking off
not
those
anything
boxes.
civil or anything like that. I'm gonna do corporate law.
Checking the boxes. But we have so many of us who are like that, and some people who kind of psych themselves out of even doing that because they're like, well, look at my background or look at where I come from. Like, I can never get to that.
Some people, the answer to am I good enough is no. And, for her, it was, let's see.
Yeah, let's try it.
Let's try.
Let's try it out.
But I think that she was trying to have those things give her worth.
Yeah.
She was trying to have those things give her worth. And I think that it's a constant battle because no matter what she achieved, the question still remained, am I good enough?
Yeah, that's true. And we did a whole pod about that. So that's real life.
All right. So let's pick up next week with Becoming.
Right. I was trying to tell y'all the whole story. My bad, y'all. But it's a really good book. So if you are still reading it, continue to read it up. We will finish it on the next episode. If you haven't even picked up the book, we would strongly encourage you to do that. Listen using our free Audible trial or get the hard copy too, man. I mean, it's collectors. You should have it.
Alrighty. So thanks for tuning into Brunch with Besties podcast. Until next time.
Peace. Thanks, guys, for listening to Brunch with Besties podcast. Be sure to find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, now YouTube, and Google Play. Basically, we airware. Don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave us a review and rate us. We would so appreciate that. Also, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to find us on Twitter. Our handle is BrunchWBesties. On IG, you can find us at Brunch with Besties Podcast. And if you'd like, you can shoot us an email. Our Gmail is brunchwithbestiespodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Peace.